Northwest Sports Show in partnership with Progressive Insurance, March 14th through 17th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's your last chance to gear up before the boating and fishing season openers. Find once-a-year show deals on hundreds of new boats, plus fishing tackle, docks and lifts, marine electronics, ATVs, hunting and outdoor gear, all under one roof. Book fishing or hunting trips with outfitters and guides, too. It's the Upper Midwest's biggest outdoor sale. Join us at the Minneapolis Convention Center, March 14th through 17th, northwestsportshow.com.
It's happening again. The Minneapolis City Council wants to raise the cost of rides on the Uber platform by 40%. Their votes could force companies like Uber to stop or radically change how they operate. They already tried this, but working families stood up to fight for affordable, accessible service. We can do that again. Tell the City Council to keep ride-sharing in the Twin Cities. Paid for by Uber Technologies, Inc.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing.
Although we're marketing at a very broad scale, it does include specific local markets, and that's the beauty of iHeart's network.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
816 KFYR 550 99.7 on iHeartRadio. We're putting the band back together. How about, I knew you couldn't stay away from Guns in the 701.
Right? Just like an old crackhead, just got to keep coming back.
All right, who's got the bad phone line here?
That's Clay.
Yeah.
So he's getting shocked.
I was going to say, he's going to have to call back. Clay, call back. If I'd have known it was that bad, I would have told him hours ago. But anyway. So, Canada does not have a Second Amendment, right? I mean, they don't have a thing that says...
Right.
Okay, so that enables Prime Minister Trudeau, their equivalent to Joe Biden, at least in title and stuff, to start grabbing the guns. But some of the provinces, we have states' rights. Apparently, they have, thank God, province rights. And some of them are saying, no, you don't. What's going on up there?
Right. Yeah, Clay and I talked about this a while back. I think one of these provinces, like Saskatchewan, and then I think one of the indigenous tribes, not just one, a couple of them actually said, we're not going to follow anything like this. This is a rights infringement. So in late 2022, I think when it was Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, followed by New Brunswick and Utah. Yukon, Canada.
It's easy to mix them up. They both have U's in them.
Yeah, they indicated that their policing resources could not be used to implement or assist in the implementation of the federal government's gun confiscation program, which, because Canada's going broke just like we are, which we'll get into later here. I'm sure when Clay's back on, we'll hit on that a little bit more.
He's back.
I'm back. I don't know what was going on, yeah.
I don't know, but that was weird. But anyway.
Very much. Must have been, I've been getting hit by NSA, evidently.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're spying on you, wondering, okay, what's he saying? Are we have to pay a visit to the Dakotas this weekend, or what?
Not only those provinces, Todd, and the new setback for good old Trudeau, the guy who sits down with his legs real close together, for reasons we can, use your imagination.
Stop. Please don't make me have that visual today. Really?
Made me think of the meme I saw with him sitting next to Trump, and Trump had the wide stance. Wider is better. But anyways, Ontario.
See, now everybody's going to start a rumor about you because most guys aren't really watching that close, and you are. What the heck?
I'm just walk into that one yourself.
But Ontario government has taken the same stance as these other ones, saying, telling on their Solicitor General has a statement saying basically Clay, he's not going to do anything about this either, right? Because Ontario is like the biggest gun-owning province in Canada, right?
Yeah, they basically said, you know what, they're kind of getting like us. Maybe there's a little American blood flowing up there finally, and said, no, I'm not going to do this. You're not going to use our resources. We got our own problems already. I mean, right now, they don't have enough resources to take care of the crime they have going on, which is on the rise quite a bit, as we're seeing in most cities, even down here in the United States. Yeah, so the Solicitor General said, nope, we're not going to do it. So they join Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and New Brunswick, along with the Yukon, or Utah, as you said. Anyway, he said, no, we are not going to do this. You're not going to use any of our resources to do this. We got our own issues going on, and basically you're on your own, Mr. Trudeau, which I think is funny because we're seeing a lot of that right now in the United States with what's going on with Biden and what he's trying to force feds to do. So, yeah.
Yukon, the Utah of the North. I'm guessing, wild guess, and I may be totally wrong on this, but my guess is Toronto and that area is fairly left-leaning, but when you get to the more outer parts, more rural parts of Ontario, I bet it's quite conservative.
Yeah, they got the same problems we have here, Todd. I mean, you're from Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Yep.
The voting power that has over rural Minnesota, not even rural Minnesota, just places away from Minneapolis. I've noticed when I went there, because I have relatives there, it's fairly conservative. I'm not going to say Western North Dakota-ish, but definitely not as blue as the state is portrayed by people looking in on it, I guess.
Well, when you break down Minnesota county by county on a map, all them, quote, rural counties, they go red, and you got those big blue spots in Minnesota, the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, St. Cloud, and Rochester. I mean, it's the same issue you're seeing in other states.
And then you got North Dakota, where Fargo's trying to be Minneapolis, so they're pretty left-leaning. And then the rest of the state is like the rest of Minnesota. It's
absolutely
kind of weird.
Quick on this deal, you guys, real quick, on the response time, Toronto's or Ontario's police chief said the response time to 9/11 up there, it's already 22 minutes and growing. He was kind of getting to the point, like Clay said, crime is going up, and now they're trying to take guns away for people's self-defense. And they used to have a long gun registry, which I remember this thing, and Canada promised the taxpayers it was not going to cost more than $2 million Canadian. Well, the price tag ended up being $2.5 billion. And it had an absolutely no discernible impact on violent crime or firearms homicides. And what do they always want to do here, Clay and Todd? They always want you to register your freaking gun. It doesn't do anything because criminals could not care less about guns.
Exactly.
Registration leads to confiscation. We've seen it time and time again in every country that's tried it. Look at Australia. That's what happened there. And it's none of their business either. Of course, we have a Second Amendment that we have the guaranteed right, but it does nothing. All it does is put a big burden on those who are already legally owners. And, they've got their PAL thing, which is the possession and acquisition license for everybody up there. And Ontario, of course, has one of the biggest numbers for that continues to grow. So they already have their licensing. They already, quote, have their kind of registration. And what's it done? Nothing. Crime's on the rise because criminals don't follow laws.
Exactly. And the 911 response time at 22 minutes, that's the priority ones. So imagine if you've got kind of a lesser one, but still important enough for 911. Lord knows how long it might be before they get there. And you would think in a major city like Toronto, you'd have a bigger force. Apparently they're having trouble hiring. And of course, that's the power of a defund the police movement. That's what that does to you.
Absolutely. 37 officers.
They want to defund the budget. Go ahead, Clayton.
Yeah. So, I say they only had 37 officers, according to their chief, Myron Demke. I mean,
that's crazy. That's a huge city.
Yes.
That's insane.
Actually, Bismarck.
That's like having two in Bismarck, Mandan. One in Bismarck, one in Mandan.
When I read that too, I was like, 37.
More than they had 25 years ago. Is what
it is.
37
more. I misread that.
Yeah. Which is still ridiculous for how big that city is.
Okay. I was going to say, that was starting to... Might as well just send Barney Fife and one bullet out there and hope for the best.
All right. So you found my one mistake I
guys,
made this year.
Not only that, guys, they got border problems there too. Their border, they said that if they really want to do something about gun crime, they need to secure their border. What border's Ontario, New York, and something like that? And I'm not sure exactly of my geography over there. But that's where the thugs are bringing the guns in. And if it is from New York, how's that possible, Clay and Todd? Because they're supposed to have this great gun control.
Well, right on the other side of Windsor, you got this place called Detroit, and I don't think there's any guns there at all. Right?
Nah, gun control working really
Send
good
some
there.
water
So
up north,
that's not a problem.
Guns of the 701, you're on KFYR. Now, speaking of places where criminals don't care, in fact, this is basically a vacuum to suck in every criminal. Gun-free school zone, and the case is continuing. What's going on there?
Yeah, that's the Gabriel Metcalf case, and we've been trying to keep everybody informed. Of course, he has a trial date now. It's set for March 25th, 2024, so that's coming up here not too long. Thing is, with this case, it's been plagued. It's going to be a constitutional challenge at some point, and that's what everybody was hoping for. But it has now taken the lead where it's going to be a criminal case and not a civil case. When that happens, that changes the whole outlook of it. Metcalf, he may have to be found guilty, and I think this judge is probably as left as they come to kind of reading some of the judgments that this judge has had. But what that has done is by being a criminal case, now the judge went out there, ruled it constitutional that a gun-free zone is, regardless of what Montana's law is. Now it's going to have to go through the criminal process, be found guilty. Then it can be appealed on a constitutional ground. So stay tuned because we're going to keep following this case.
That's incredible. I mean, if I create a stupid free zone, stupid people are still going to walk in.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not calling gun people stupid people. I mean, the point is you're just inviting... You're inviting the criminal in because you're telling the criminal, hey, you're going to be able to shoot up all you want here because nobody's going to be able to defend themselves. Well,
Absolutely.
why put that in neon? I mean, come on.
In more than one occasion, in fact, a number of occasions, these people who've done this, these mass murders, have indicated in their writings before they do this that they knew it was a gun-free zone.
Yep.
Crazy.
They knew they'd have no resistance.
Got more coming up with guns in the 701. Still to come.
Friday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We'll roll you into the weekend with a breakdown of everything we heard at the State of the Union. Plus, we'll get you all ready for what could be basically the first weekend of the big race in 2024. All that and more, Friday edition. Come hang.
At 11 on the legendary voice of the Northern Plains, KFYR 550.
Today is International Women's Day. From the go-getter building a business to the mama at home building forts, we see you.
KFYR. When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Cage the Elephant Neon Pill Tour. Special guests Young the Giant and Bakar. Get tickets Friday, March 8th at livenation.com.
Don't miss the Discover Boating Northwest Sports Show in partnership with Progressive Insurance. Find once-a-year deals on boats, docks and lifts, ATVs, tackle, marine electronics, and outdoor gear. Book your fishing or hunting trip, too, at the Minneapolis Convention Center, March 14th through 17th, northwestsportshow.com.
It's Mitchell in the Morning, KFYR 550.
Coming up, the USDA says their data shows the U.S. is at a trade deficit moving into 2024. We'll cover those numbers next on the Dakota Farm and Ranch Report.
Hey farmers, do you want a clean rust-free truck? J&M has them. Do you want a low mileage truck? J&M has them. Do you want an automatic transmission? J&M has them. No one has the inventory that J&M Truck Sales in Fargo has on hand. These are all clean, well-maintained, rust-free trucks from California, ready for your field. Kenworth, Peterbilt, Mack, Graybinder, Volvo, and more. And J&M Truck Sales has financing and delivery available. Call J&M Truck Sales at 701-282-2260 today for more information.
KFYR.
With the Dakota Farm and Ranch Report, I'm Scott Bachmeyer. The trade outlook for 2024 is unfortunately still showing the United States with a record trade deficit. Betty Rensnick, an economist for the American Farm Bureau, says 2024 will see lower agricultural exports.
There's still expected to be a record agricultural trade deficit of $30.5 billion and also an annual decline in agricultural exports of about $8.3 billion to now $170.5 billion. And that reduction is fueled primarily by a reduction in both the value and volume of soybeans and soybean products, and also a strong U.S. dollar.
She says that this report includes some notable changes compared to the previous one issued last year.
Overall, U.S. agricultural exports and imports, so both of them, are projected up $1 billion each. As for our export partners, U.S. exports to China were revised down by $800 million as compared to the previous report, while exports to both Mexico and Canada were increased. Mexico has almost caught up to China as the number one destination for U.S. agricultural products.
Resnick talks about what's driving the forecasted increase in the trade income.
So the increase in exports in the February outlook are being driven primarily by an increase of about 4% or $1.4 billion in livestock and dairy products, driven by both robust exports and rising prices in those products, and an increase of $700 million in grain exports. These increases were counterbalanced by further declines in soybeans, which were reduced to $1 billion or 2.6% due to both falling prices and volumes.
With the Dakota Farm and Ranch Report, I'm Scott Bachmeyer.
KFYR, your ag authority.
With over 60 years of experience in the auction business, Steffes Group is the trusted source for buying high-quality equipment. From farm and construction equipment to transportation and land, Steffes Group auctions feature a diverse selection of assets for whatever your needs may be. Bid with confidence, knowing that Steffes Group's team of professionals prioritizes honesty, integrity, and outstanding service. Visit SteffesGroup.com to view our upcoming auctions and start bidding on the equipment you need today.
KFYR.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. More jobs than expected were added to the economy last month. 275,000, according to the Labor Department's February jobs report.
Unexpected. The unemployment rate went up to 3.9%. The expectation was 3.7%.
Fox's Cheryl Cassoni. Oil prices are steady as the market looks at this mixed jobs report. President Biden talked about his record on jobs during the State of the Union address last night.
15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record.
And Alabama Senator Katie Britt on the Republican response.
Just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 3 years ago?
America's listening to Fox News.
And now, from North Dakota's news authority, Jesse Rostvent, KFYR Radio News.
Good morning. It's 8:32 here at KFYR. Right now in Bismarck, it is 9 degrees. Temperatures this morning ranging from the single digits below zero in northern areas into the lower 20s further south. Clouds lingering over portions of southwestern areas. Mainly clear conditions elsewhere with highs this afternoon. Forecasts from the upper 20s in the north to the lower 40s further south. AccuWeather calling for a high of 39 in Bismarck today. Gradual warming trend continuing through the weekend and in early portions of next week. Highs forecast to be at or above seasonable normals by Tuesday. Mainly dry conditions have anticipated to continue through the same period. Yesterday, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell testifying before Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, where he was questioned by Senator Kevin Cramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, good to see you. Thank you for being here. It's been a rather uneventful couple of days for you, considering you've spent 2 days in this place. And I'm not going to upset that, by the way, just so you know. But I did appreciate your response earlier to Senator Scott when he asked about immigration, and you said the Fed hasn't been assigned that. So I want to bring up something else you haven't been assigned to that you and I have talked about over the years, and that, of course, is climate, the role of climate in your job, the role of climate risk in banking. And you've often said, I think the most common statement was, we should stick to our knitting, I think is one of yours, stay in our lane, similar to what you said probably to Senator Scott. But that said, in October, the Fed, the OCC, FDIC issued climate guidance, as you know, for management of covered institutions. And so I'm just kind of curious, did Congress somewhere along the line give the Fed authority over climate policy as well? Or is that another one of those things that somebody just took on? And I realize you're not the dictator of the Fed, only the chairman of the Fed, but I'd be interested in, as the chairman, your views on it.
No, our assignment is the safety and soundness of banks and that they understand and can manage the risks that they face. That's our assignment. And we said in climate world, we would do two and only two things. One of them was to do illustrative stress scenarios, scenarios, not stress scenarios, climate scenarios, so that, the banks are already doing this. The large banks who are subject to this, they're already doing it because they're doing business internationally and they don't have any choice. So we said we'd do that. And we also said that we'd offer guidance on, not on level of climate risk or anything like that, just on what you had to do to be in a position to assess. And that's, for my thinking, that's it. That's what we're doing. And we're not doing it. There are no new initiatives. We're not going to change our capital requirements to reflect climate risk or anything like that. I'm really determined that we are not a climate policymaker and that is really the business of elected officials.
Very good. Thank you.
A man and a woman from Detroit and a woman from Williston have been charged with multiple drug crimes, including intent to deliver fentanyl. Rebecca Webb of Williston charged with possession with intent to deliver fentanyl and conspiracy to deliver a controlled substance. Webb was caught Tuesday when she took confidential informant to an apartment in Minot to deliver fentanyl tablets. When police executed a search warrant, they found over $17,000 in a suitcase, along with fentanyl tablets and 4 cell phones. Frank Norris Whetstone and Fatma Wazni of Detroit were taken into custody at the apartment and charged along with Webb. 8:36 here at KFYR. Another look at the AccuWeather forecast up next.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives you access to all. Every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent maracas smell amazing." You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
Don't miss the Discover Boating Northwest Sports Show in partnership with Progressive Insurance. Find once-a-year deals on boats, docks and lifts, ATVs, tackle, marine electronics, and outdoor gear. Book your fishing or hunting trip too at the Minneapolis Convention Center, March 14th through 17th. NorthwestSportsShow.com.
Pink, live across North America in 2024. The most spectacular show with special guest The Script and Kid Cut Up in select cities. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast. It'll be partly sunny today with a high 41. Clear skies tonight. We're going down to 15. Plenty of sunshine for us tomorrow. It's a milder day, the high 49. And remember, clocks spring ahead 1 hour tomorrow night. It'll be clear to partly cloudy tomorrow night with a low 21. And then we'll have a mix of sun and clouds. Sunday, another mild day. We're going up to 55. Plan with confidence. Visit AccuWeather.com. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Rose Tamburino.
Yesterday's high in Bismarck, 28. The low, 8. Average high and low this time of year, 37 and 16. Record high of 64 set on this day in 2021. Record low, 28 below, set in 1995. Sunset tonight, 6:40. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 7:06. And right now in Bismarck, clear and sunny, no wind. It is 9 degrees. I'm Jesse Rostvat, KFYR Radio, your news and weather authority.
Back to guns in the 701 in just a moment. Zombie deer disease. Is it going to hit North Dakota? God, I hope not. And John Mellencamp makes a demand. Once upon a time, he was actually a pretty decent musician, but come on. Guns in the 701 coming up in a moment. And Dakota Talk after 9. Michael Bell's already pacing. It's got to be.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers.
If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water, pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Ever dream about what it would be like to have fried chicken for life? Freshly prepared, cooked to golden perfection, delicious fried chicken for life? Weird dream, but hey, why not? At Quick Trip, we're making dreams come true. When you buy any hot and ready fried chicken with Quick Rewards, you'll be automatically entered to win a chance at fried chicken for life. So stop dreaming and get to your nearest Quick Trip to make your fried chicken dreams come true. See QuickTrip.com/fried chicken for life for details. No purchase necessary.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On September 16th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill cut their vacation short and decided to drive home.
They were having difficulty finding their way around the city, and Barney decided he just wanted to drive home, knowing that they would arrive at their home on New Hampshire's seacoast at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
What they saw that night in the New Hampshire sky would change everything.
I began walking across the highway, looking up at the object with the binoculars, putting them down, shaking my head, saying, well, this just can't be true. I don't believe it.
A light in the sky.
At first she thought of a falling star, but she realized that falling stars don't fall upwards, and that's what this one was doing.
2 years later, the Hills would undergo hypnosis.
He's trying to start the car and it won't start. And the medic coming goes, and I think, well, I can get away from this. If I get the car door open, I can run in the woods and hide.
That became known the world over.
Dr. Simon gave me a post-hypnotic suggestion. He said if I wanted to, I could sketch the star map. But if I didn't want to, I didn't have to. So about 2 weeks later, I sketched it.
Their account has been scrutinized.
Under the influence of hypnosis, especially if you're highly hypnotizable, you are even more susceptible to contamination and distortion.
By scientists, skeptics, theorists, and believers.
He wound up building a total of more than 20 three-dimensional models and was able to find one and only one pattern that matched what Betty had drawn.
What happened on that night journey in 1961? Were the Hills confused about what they saw, or did they have an encounter with beings not of this world? From iHeartRadio and Aaron Mankey's Grim and Mild, this is Strange Arrivals.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
841 at KFYR Guns in the 701. Now, once upon a time, Johnny Cougar was actually a pretty kick-butt musician. I mean, this song was a pretty good rockin' song. But I guess somewhere in the early to mid-'80s, the whole woke thing came along, and bit by bit. And now what's he wanting?
Oh, man. Maybe it's a good example. Kids don't do drugs. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I won't disagree with that, but
I actually have some nice John Cougar 45s that I used to play on my little blue record player you could open up. Remember those things? Like a little blue plastic case?
I was pretty sure the only 45 you ever touched, you fired.
Well, they're a lot better to fire than to listen to, that's for sure. But yeah. So before I get into this one, Todd, I just want to wish everybody a happy 308 day. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. How did I miss that today?
Yeah.
I should have been all over that.
The close second to America's cartridge, the 223, but it's still a great cartridge. So yeah, that was God's cartridge.
So on April 5th, are you going to celebrate 45 Day?
Great idea, Todd. Yeah, we're going to.
Okay, we are now, right?
45.
And actually, that'll be a Friday, so perfect. Guns of the 701 on 45.
Yeah, perfect. Clay, throw 45 out, get your Trump 1911, and blast that thing. 45, John Cougar Mellencamp 45.
There you go.
So, yeah, after the Kansas City parade shooting, Mellencamp went on X and says, "Excuse me for stating the obvious truth. I do so out of love for this country," which, by the way, that line right there, Todd, there's a picture of him on X somewhere at a Indiana Pacers game. Everybody standing up, national anthem, hand on their heart. Guess what Mr. America, love for our country's doing?
Oh,
Sitting
no.
there stuffing his face with popcorn. Yeah. This time his butt not standing. Yeah. Yeah, once again,
He had that nice, innocent All-America song, Jack and Diane, but now the true colors are out. That's not good.
Instead of the hands between the knees, they were in the popcorn bucket when the national anthem was being played. He said, if we as a country want to find the collective will within ourselves to change, let's stop playing political games. What he wants to do, Todd, is show the American people, dead children and others who have been struck down, and show what bullets can do to the human body. And he wants to do that, of course, to try and ban guns, which I bet he doesn't want to show pictures of somebody like Lake and Riley in Georgia who had her head smashed in with a bat by illegals. I bet he doesn't want to show that to ban illegal aliens, does he? Or the numbers, hundreds of other people. A Washington State trooper who just recently smashed into with a car and killed by an illegal alien.
You mean
he doesn't want to show a picture of that trooper?
You mean it wasn't Lincoln Riley?
Yeah,
State of the Union last night. Oops.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody doesn't know, like Todd just said, what happened? What did President Biden call Lake and Riley? Todd, say that again.
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Yeah, who's a coach at USC? So there is one, but it's not the one.
Not the one the illegals smashed the skull in with a bat. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're hanging around USC, that's an inevitability anyway, right?
Yeah, it is. So in June 2022, the Senate passed the bipartisan, Safer Communities Act. Biden said it was the greatest gun control package that's happened in 20 years. But guess what, Clayton? He said what? That's not enough gun control, because it's never enough for him, is it, Clay?
Never enough. In fact, he ignored a whole bunch of things. He wants to see dead kids, I guess, put out there. He said that the Vietnam War, they did that. That's how they ended that right away, even though that was about a 20-year struggle, if I remember right. But, facts don't matter. And then he goes on and basically he's given a whole bunch of more reasons why we need to take guns from Americans, legal, law-abiding Americans, but doesn't mention that the two individuals charged in this shooting, they were juveniles. They allegedly committed their crime in a state with a lot of gun laws in place regarding legal age, which is what everybody calls for gun purchases and gun possession. And let's not forget, guys, this particular state, anybody under the age of 21 or under the age of 18 has to get consent from a parent. Then you turn around, the U.S. Senate and unfortunately the House both passed, it was signed, the Bipartisan Unsafer Communities Act, as I call it. They pushed that thing through and rammed it through. And now there's even more restrictions on anybody, legal adults, 18 to 21, who can have firearms. And what's his response? Mellencamp just gets out there and says, F you to the world. I mean, I'm not going to say the word, of course, but that's what he said.
Thanks for not saying the word. I appreciate that. Kind of like to keep my job here today, just saying.
But, we had to put it into context. I wouldn't want to, misquote him.
Yeah. But I mean, the people who did the shooting in Kansas City what were they, Clay, right? They were gangbangers having a little gang war inside of, shooting at each other inside of this big parade. And the first thing all the liberals do is blame the gun, not the gangbangers, because if you do that, oh boy, you're a big racist.
Big race. And it was gang infighting is what it was. And it just, the public got caught up in the fire. And that had nothing, there wasn't a gun law in the books that could have stopped that. Not one.
Nope.
So John Mellencamp's from Indiana. Next door to Indiana is Chicago.
Chicago.
I mean, did we not?
The murder capital of the country.
As I say, and the gun control capital of the country. So how's that working out, Johnny?
Todd, Chicago blames Indiana for not having enough gun control for all their crime. I mean, that's well documented. They've done that the Chicago people and the mayor and their politicians have blamed Indiana constantly.
Well, if you ever been to Gary, that's probably why.
I haven't. I'll stay out.
I mean, if I were living next door to Gary, Indiana, I'd be blaming Indiana too, I guess, but that's just me.
Wait a second. Are you saying that Democrats are blaming everybody else for their own problems? Oh, that's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
No. Nah, never happens. Never happens.
Never happens.
848 and KFYR, it's Guns in the 701. Zombie deer disease. Are we going to start testing for that in North Dakota now next?
Oh, yeah. God, my goodness. I saw this. We've hit on this kind of stuff before. Yeah, right now they're reporting that in the national parks, basically in Maryland, which would be basically their war, the battlefields from the Civil War, they have their first reports ever of whitetails. This is what I found interesting. Whitetails now have zombie brain disease, also known as chronic wasting disease. And I thought, oh, here we go. CWD. Okay. And I imagine they're getting a little money from the deal that got passed last year, so they're probably looking for cases now so they can get more federal money for this. But they found it in Antietam, and then, of course, in Monterey or some darn other battlefield out there. But anyway, national parks in Maryland, Virginia, and D.C., they're working together to monitor these animals for chronic wasting disease. This is the first year they found any to be infected. And again, it was found in whitetail deer. Usually this is found in mule deer, so that's kind of interesting to me. If you don't know what CWD is, it's, if they get it, it's basically something that will kill them, can kill them. They lose weight, they just kind of waste away, and that's probably how it got its name. They'll start stumbling and a lot of other different things happening.
Lose weight? Maybe I should get CWD then.
Maybe I'll need a little of that, don't we? Unfortunately, there's not one reported case to humans, Todd. So
well, it's got to happen sooner or later. Don't give me the whole. There's never been one in human. That doesn't mean there'll never be one.
Well, they also claim that it's fatal, and there's plenty of Texas reports that say that chronic wasting disease is not fatal, and it can be cured. It just has a little something to do with soils and the things you add to it, but that's for a whole nother show.
So, Clay, you said that they did give them a bunch of money to test for this stuff. I mean, is it the reason the first time they ever found it is because they have more money, you think, and maybe they're doing a lot more testing? Because, I mean, that seems logical to me.
It probably is not more than coincidental, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's just like in North Dakota when Game and Fish Mismanagement starts going around and you ask them real questions and then they don't want to talk no more, especially on certain radio stations, and go to a different one. But I digress.
Oh, come on now. Jeb's been back here. Jeb's been back here since that crap, so.
Yeah, that's right. I heard Jeb on with
Michael Bell. We're okay. We're okay with Game and Fish now.
Oh, he went in on the other show. All right. Anyway, we won't talk about that either. But by the way, I'm glad that we kick off Freedom Friday right here every single morning.
Amen, brothers. Amen. Guns in the 701. So, JD, does this mean you're going to be like a frequent guest now, or what's going on?
I don't know. Mikey D's got something going on, so probably not, Todd. But I got to say, I had a good time hanging out with you and Clay here again and doing this. It was fun. I'm more than happy to come back anytime they need.
I mean, for a guy who's given it up, you seem to be hanging around a while. How can we miss you if you're never gone?
Well, I mean, I'm still with Guns in the
701. He's still part of the team, Todd. He's still part of the team.
Oh, absolutely. I got to razz him,
I like it. So, last night I did my number 5 podcast live stream. I had on Derek from North Dakota GOP headquarters. He's a California transplant, big conservative, big gun guy, loves hunting and ice fishing. We talked about that, and then actually thought a week from today I'm doing something new even again. It's called Drinks with the 701. I'm having a live stream with 5 other people on Guns in the 701 social media outlets, and we're going to be testing all North Dakota-made, be it beer, wine, any kind of liquor, and giving our opinion of it. So if you're bored next Friday at 8 p.m., tune in.
You got DDs, right? I mean, nobody's driving home after this.
You don't have to drive when you're live streaming, baby. You just sit at home and do it.
Well, I didn't know if you guys are all going to be... so it's like a big Zoom call kind of thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting together and say, okay, well, then have fun. Just don't go out driving afterward. That's my point.
Right. Talk about the North Dakota made products.
Absolutely.
Guns of the 701, best podcast on iHeart, right?
Absolutely. Catch us on iHeart. Everything's uploaded, including 701 Nation and Guns and 701 from this week's on there. Right now, we're streaming on all of our platforms as well for this show, and that'll be uploading right away on iHeart from Mitchell in the Morning with Guns and 701. Catch us every single morning right here, every Friday morning, 7:15 Mountain, 8:15 Central, and, of course, on Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central. So, yeah, you can find us everywhere, guys, but don't forget to go to iHeart. It's the best podcast around.
There you go. All right. Talk to you next week. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thanks,
we'll see you on the jet when we're heading to the iHeart Awards, Todd. It's going to be fun.
Oh, man. Are you guys getting the best podcast award there? We got that coming up Monday night here on KFYR at 11 o'clock. I expect to hear Guns in the 701 in that hour someplace.
Absolutely. You got us on there. We're all going together, man. It's all or nothing.
If they don't say it, I'll come on like in the middle of it someplace and say, "Oh, by the way, they forgot the Guns in the 701 award." I just thought I'd pass that along there. They forgot.
Well, I'll tell you what. if we lose, it means somebody hacked the voting machines. That's all that means.
They brought totes out from underneath the machine after polls were closed, and
for sure.
I am so sending a copy of this to the people that do the podcast awards for us. I am so sending a copy of this. Here, you guys. We know what's going on over there, really. You guys are getting paid to give the awards out. Guns in the 701 is not going to give you money. Give them the award and don't expect money in return.
Perfect. It's a way of life in the Dakota.
Love it.
Exactly. All right. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right. Happy for Guns of the 701. Happy birthday, Deb Frank, 61. Nicole Dalbo is 40-something in Mandan. Chris Bam of Carrington,